Hey Narwhals, I'm your host Luke Narwhal, and welcome back to another weight loss discussion. Let's dive right in. You will not permanently lose weight until you address the reasons you overeat. There are so many ways to lose weight, quickly or slowly, healthily or unhealthily. I've done them all, and currently I'm at a great place for myself, and I'm about 75 pounds down from my highest. Throughout my life, I have gained and lost weight more than dozens of times, and I'm happy to say I'm in a very healthy place with maintenance and weight loss at this point. No matter how effective your diet or weight loss strategy, it's impossible to keep weight off long term if you haven't addressed why you overeat. Most of us here did not become increasingly overweight because we weren't trying. For myself, I know it's directly related to my overeating and binge cycling. Sticking to a diet is doable, but sticking to a diet when you're stressed and food feels like relief is eventually impossible. Personally, I'm a stress eater. I used to eat when I was stressed, when I was depressed or anxious, even when I was happy or celebrating. When I realized that stress was my primary trigger, it changed the game for me. I wasn't overeating or failing diets because I was uneducated about nutrition. It's not some type of moral failure. I gained weight every single time because my response to stress is eating. It made me feel better very temporarily, but then I would feel terrible. Worse than this, my stress was still not relieved, just saved for later. Here's how I addressed this. 1. Noticing when I had an impulse to overeat. 2. Taking time to identify what I was actually feeling that made me want to overeat. And 3. Finding another non-food related way to relieve the emotion. Note, I'm specifically talking about wanting to continue eating or having an impulse to binge when I was already full. For example, if I'm hungry enough to eat an apple or something nutritious, I will always have it. Another note, therapy is great for this. Here's some stress relief ideas that I like. Take a relaxing bath or shower, journal, go for a walk, meditate, read an interesting book, stretch for a few minutes, research your favorite historical period, paint something, even if you're bad at it, color a picture, make a meaningless craft, call a friend, wash your face, massage and moisturizer for a few extra minutes. Find everything in your immediate area that is yellow, or insert your color of choice. Organize something that you've been putting off. Cry, let it all out. Go to a dollar store or a local art store and find some cool, fun things for less than $5. Play a game, ride a bike, do a few minutes of yoga, maybe a few more. Play with a pet. If you don't have pets, go to a local shelter and play with those pets. Massage your hands or your feet for a few minutes. Do a face mask. Write yourself a letter. Send a card to your friend. Yell into a pillow. Drink some hot tea. Watch your favorite movie. Make a collage with all your favorite things and give yourself a hug. Feel free to add your own ideas in the comments. Also, feel free to save and edit this list and keep it somewhere convenient for the next time you need it. I'm still working on this, and I'm not always perfect. When I first started, I would notice that I was stressed and having a binge impulse, then I would binge anyways. As time went on, I was able to acknowledge my feelings and find better ways to relieve them most of the time. Noticing that you're stressed and having an impulse to binge is a huge freaking step. That's progress. Instead of beating yourself up, try being gentle and understanding with yourself. I hope this helps someone. Sending my best to you all. Learning the mindset, eat to feel your body, not your emotions, helped curb my binging. Every time I went to eat something, I'd ask myself if I was eating to feel my emotions or my body. If it was for emotional reasons, I would drink water. If it was because I was actually hungry, then I would eat. Awesome post. Congrats on 75 pounds lost. I came up with the egg test for myself. If I'm hungry enough to go through the trouble of cooking an omelet, particularly in the evenings, I make an omelet with whatever I want. Bacon, cheese, fried onions, and peppers, etc. If I can't be bothered to go through the effort to make a delicious omelet, then I'm not really hungry. I'm just bored. Then I make myself get up and do something besides eating. Yes, I utilized this approach this time around. Find something to do other than binge on food. I also did this with alcohol years ago. Not sure why I didn't take the same approach with food sooner. Probably because my brain was stuck thinking that dealing with overeating and alcoholism was different. It's not. More similarities than differences in my experience. But better late than never, I suppose. Good post. Change the view of screens, phone, TV, computer, to a scene of nature. Become unavailable for a time. Get away from all the city noise, being in total peace and quiet, without worrying about being available to anyone. Nature scenes I enjoy: a view from the top of a mountain, a view of the forest, deep in the forest, a view of the ocean from a beach, a view of the city at night, from afar, and looking at space from a rural place with little to no light pollution at night. 100%. I made a conscious effort a few years ago to keep a journal on me with the sentence, "I eat because," and then I'd finish the phrase as many times as I needed to capture my triggers. Turns out, I'm not hungry. I just hate being around other people and would rather stuff my face than speak to them. Once I understood how social anxiety was impacting me, I was much more capable of keeping my weight down, as well as recovering my diet when I started going off the rails. I'm a boredom eater, and I found carrying around a bottle of water stopped me from going to the kitchen and scrounging. Also, at night before bed, I had a habit of snacking unabashedly, so I got into the habit of chamomile tea before bed, and it is both relaxing and I'm less likely to snack. If I do snack, I go for the popcorn we grow, no butter, lightly salted, rather than my usual chips, ice cream, candy. It's not a perfect solution, but it's been working. I'm down about 10 pounds. I never see anyone talk about the issue that I have to deal with when it comes to my weight. For me, it's not stress, anxiety, depression, or boredom, or any of the other reasons people seem to have for overeating. For me, it's simply that eating certain foods is pleasurable. It's got nothing to do with being hungry or not. The desire to eat unhealthily is strictly a sensory thing. That's why I feel that I have an addiction, just the same as if I were addicted to alcohol, nicotine, or medication. I don't binge. I don't sit down and eat a whole pizza followed by a burger and then a quart of ice cream or anything extreme. But I do want unhealthy foods. I don't get excited about a plate of grilled chicken and some rice. I want lasagna, or chicken fried steak, or cheese enchiladas, or something like that. No plan or program I've ever found has been able to help me change that way of thinking, as much as I'd love to. Once you realize this, how long did it take you to break the cycle? I realized that I'm an emotional eater about 4 years ago. That realization helped me lose weight and get down to my then goal of 130 pounds. Slowly gained it back over 2 to 3 years. It's something I'll be working on for a long time, I think, so I was curious to know your experience and if it took months or years after the realization to really break you of it. You know, it's so hard to put a timeline on it. It was a gradual realization for me. Also, I still struggle with this. I would say my biggest change was not only realizing that I stress eat, but calling myself out when I had the impulse to eat. For example, if I want to eat, but I'm not genuinely hungry, I'll start my process of IDing what is going on. Sometimes it's obvious if there is a big stressor in my life, but other times it's subtle. Then I make sure to do something right away to care for myself and try to relieve the stress. Journaling or talking to a loved one can be really helpful for identifying your stressors. You know yourself best. I would highly recommend making a list of things that relax you. And next time that you're able to call it an impulse to eat emotionally, try one of your relaxing ideas instead. Over time, it's easier to realize what's going on and address it before it happens. I hope this clears it up and is helpful. Wishing you all the success. No matter how effective your diet or weight loss strategy, it's impossible to keep weight off long term if you haven't addressed why you overeat. This was the reason why I was able to just hop on the train and never get off, realizing two main things that might on the surface seem contradictory. One, this is learned behavior that was instilled in me from parents who also had poor eating habits. It became my normal and gave me the sense of, I'm one of the unlucky ones. It's genetic, so it's hopeless trying to lose weight. It wasn't my fault that this happened, but it's still my reality. And two, now that I'm an adult, I need to take responsibility for my health and well-being. I need to stop lying to myself that these eating habits are normal. On that first point, my parents are great, but not perfect, just like we all are. My mom particularly fell for a lot of those low-fat Weight Watchers fad diets and half tried to some limited success in the past. When she was going through a divorce with my father, both she and I normalized eating as a mechanism to deal with stress. I ate because fat became part of my identity, because eating and drinking to excess made me feel frigging excellent emotionally and allowed me to minimize the physical ailments of such activity. Once I really realized through inward self-reflection and learned that taking responsibility for my own actions was empowering if successful, I got a helpful hand in that the pandemic hit, and for me, having just recently learned this new mindset, it wasn't even a question. If I'm one of the fortunate ones that gets to ditch a 90-minute commute to work from home for 1+ years, you bet I'm going to use this time productively and crack the least major problem I like to crack about myself. I would not have developed the mindfulness required to lose and maintain the weight I have without analyzing the reasons for being lifelong obese. It was hard, but the payoff is way better than I imagined. It's not feeling better or looking better or any of those classic questions people ask when they see I've lost a ton of weight for the first time. The payoff is in knowing that I always had the ability to do this within me, and that it was all and is all in my control. And that brings us to the end of the video, Narwhals. I really hope you enjoyed. If you did, please tap subscribe to join our awesome community, the Narwhals, and for more weight loss stories that help you stay on track. And here's our featured Narwhal of the day. Face gains, minus 44 pounds and counting.